like. So if I can get a month's worth uploaded and scheduled up premiere, then you know I should be all right after that. I just don't want to. I don't want to stop my momentum. I started doing them once a week, and I wanted to try to keep that up as best I could. As long as y'all watch them, I'll keep doing them. So let's get started. I got all my stuff piled up here, trying to get all my act together, because this one is going to be a little bit hard, but you know, it may be just one of the prettiest ones I've done in a long time. So let's get started and let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, I wanted to show you guys how to draw this pattern. I just think it's going to turn out beautiful. I have not painted it yet. As I'm taping this section here of the video, I have not painted it. I've practiced, I've figured out how to draw the pattern out. I found it in a book, and it's called Farmer's Delight, and it's also called Triple Sunflower. So you probably have already seen that thumbnail, so you know what it looks like. But we're going to draw the pattern out. Now, it took me a while to figure this out, but I got it done. Now, if I can just figure out how to tell you guys. So the first thing that I'm going to do is find the center. This is a 24 by 24, and I'm just using paper now. So this pattern is for a 24 by 24 barn quilt. Now, I think that you could figure out the measurements if you wanted a bigger one. I haven't tried that yet, but I would imagine it wouldn't be that hard once you see what I'm doing here. All right. So let's find the center of our board. And to do that, all we have to do is we're going to mark this off. You know, we've got our 24-inch ruler here. We're marking our ruler at 12. And we're going on to the other side and marking it at 12. We're finding the center over here and marking it at 12. And then we're going to go to the top and mark it at 12. So now we are going to know where the center. Now I'm not blocking this off. Everybody just sit back in shock because I'm not blocking it off. But I will the next one, I'll bet you. Okay, this is not part of the pattern, but it is going to be our guidelines. So when we're drawing our pattern, we're going to know that we're right exactly where we're supposed to be with our ruler and our tick marks. Because we're going to need that as a guide. Now some lines, I'm going to dot the lines, and that way you'll know that that's not where you're taping, but it's just to guide you where your triangle needs to be. Now, I'm going to make this, hopefully I can make it simple, so I may repeat myself a couple of times, so bear with me. What I'm going to do now, I might need to go get a cup of coffee. All right. Now the first thing that we need to do is draw our circles. And what I did now, all right, now let me show you something. I got this and I found it on Amazon, and it's called a bullseye demonstration compass. And it actually had a little suction cup that went right there, and you stick it on a wipe off board. Well, I didn't need that. So I took the suction cup out. Since I know where the center of my page is, I'm going to put a nail right there. So then when I hang that mark, my circle maker, when I hang my circle maker on here, then it hooks on and I can go all the way around. Now I'm using this piece of paper, and I've got a board on the back because my surface is not smooth and I can't draw a smooth line. So anyway, now this, like I said, found it on Amazon, but now you don't have to use that. If you've got a yardstick, now I cut this yardstick off at 24 inches because it was wooden and I could make my holes in it, and I can't use a 36 inch. I can't use a yardstick over here where I am. It'll hit the window. But to show you, use what you have. If you've got a wooden yardstick, what I did was put holes in it. I just took my Dremel and drilled holes in it every 2 inches. Now, if you find when you're making another circle that you need another mark, you just drill another hole. So you've got a holy yardstick. Okay. See, I hung it over my nail. And my markers or pencil, whatever you're marking with, will go down into that hole, and you just circle around it. Okay, I've got my compass set on 5 inches here, and I just tightened it down. I'm sticking my marker through that hole, pulling it tight now. I'm going all the way around. I'm trying to keep my paper from moving. Alright, there you go. Now that's our first circle. So we're going to draw those first. Alright, the next circle I need it to be 2 inches larger. So I'm setting my compass on 7. So if you were using the wood, if you were using this wooden one, the homemade one, which is perfectly fine, you need it a hole at 5, 7, and 9. And 11. So 5, 7, 9, and 11. You might want to write that down. So there's our 5, and we're getting ready to make our number 7. And I'm changing colors of markers just so you can see them better. That is actually a purple. You can't hardly see it, can you? Alright, so there's our second circle. We're going to set it on 9. And make that circle. Okay. So $5.79. And we're going to set it on 11. And I'm going to make sure it's not going to fall off my page here. So each one of your circles are 2 inches according to this compass. And my paper wants to move, but your board's not going to move. But you may want to practice on this paper first. 'Cause it took me a while. I've made circles before, but it just took me a while to get this pattern in my head. Alright, so now we've got our circles. Some of these are going to be guidelines. The lines that I'm going to be making now. They're going to be guidelines, and others are going to be where your tape is going to go. So where the tape is going to be, I'm going to make a solid line. But where my guideline is, just so I'll know where to draw my triangles, that's going to be dotted lines. So on our arc, we've got it straight at 0 and 360. And then I've got it on 90 and 90 over here. So I used my blocks that I drew the first time to line that arc up. And I'm just going to make a tick mark at 90, 60, and 30, 0, 30, 60, 90, 60, 30, 0, 30, and 60. So 0, 30, 60, and 90. Okay, so we've got those marks made. And now I'll show you what I'm doing. Alright, so what I'm doing now is that I'm taking my ruler and I'm getting right into the center of that. That's what I want to make sure that my ruler is touching the center. But I'm going to line it up with these dots. See that dot? See that dot? So the dots that you can line your ruler up with are the dots that you're going to use. Tick marks. Now, for the center of this circle, I want solid lines because that's where my star is going to be. But all the way out to the end, this is just guidelines. I'm not going to use it where for a place to put my tape and paint, but it is just guidelines. See that? Now, let's do another one. Well, these, for example, where you've got your lines, where you made those first 2 marks, we're going to line those dots up. Again, it's going to be solid in the middle, right inside that circle. And we're dotting all the way out to here. Now, make sure you got your tape ready, because this is going to take some tape. But I can't wait to get started on it. You've already saw the thumbnail by now, because I'll finish it so you can see the finished result before I put up this video. But as of right now, I've not painted it yet. I'm just so excited about doing that. I just think it's going to be beautiful. Got some really pretty colors picked out too. Now, if you're using your heat erasable pens, don't fret about these lines, because you know they go away. And if you're using a marker, something that you paint over, you're going to paint over all these anyway. So I've got my lines drawn so that you can see what I've done. Now we need some more lines, guidelines, and tick marks. So let me get that in my mind, and I'll come back and show you that. Okay, I'm trying to get you guys down there where you can see what I'm doing. All right, I put my big arc back on the board. Now I've lined it up again with those first marks that we made. And to get our next set of guidelines and tick marks, I am like on 0 and 0 here, and 90 and 90. I'm going to make a tick mark at 15. So it'll be every 15 all the way around. So on this particular arc, it's 15, 45, 75. So I'm going right in the middle, see, in the middle of each one of these sections. 85, 55, 20, well, that's 25, and then 15, 45. So it's at just every 15. So wherever your mark is, our 60, 75. So it's every 15 marks. And 25. So let me take this off and see if you can see them. Can you see these marks here? Ooh. You're shaking. Don't get nervous. We can do it. Okay. Now what we need to do is make our guidelines. And we'll do it in this green. So we're going to use that as our focus, our focal point. Make sure that ruler's right on that. But take those green marks and wherever you made them at, that's just going to be guidelines. That's not going to be any kind of place where you're going to put your tape. It's just guidelines, okay? And it's just on the outside of this circle. So you can watch me do this. I'm lining up. As long as my ruler is in that center, I'm just finding the tick mark and then the corresponding one on the other side. And making a guideline all the way out from the inner circle. So, you know, I think it's probably taken as long to draw the pattern as it will to paint it, to tell you the truth. Because a lot of these marks and triangles are going to be the same color. Well, not a lot of them, but like 3 or 4 at a time. If you got something else that you can make these with, or if you just want to draw straight lines, you can. But to me, to show you guys, it was easier to draw these dotted lines or broken lines, whatever you want to call them. It was easier for me to explain it that way so you would know that you're not going to paint or put your tape up against that. All right, one more. Now we get to start drawing. Oop. Almost went in there, didn't I? Okay. See? We've got all of our guidelines around here. Now we get to start drawing this little baby. Okay, so, you know, this is our circle. It's actually going to be a 12-point star. So I'm going to leave you down close enough here to where you can see what I'm doing. This is actually your 12-point star. Now you see how we drew these guidelines? Well, I'm going to take at each one of these lines, and I'm going to draw the top of my star. See, here's my guideline that's going into that second circle. Now see, there's one of my stars. If you wanted to get really fancy, you could divide that in half and have 2 colors here. But with so many colors going on this pattern, I'm not going to do that. I don't want it to take away from the star. You see that? We're just using that guideline. And back to this line. All the way around. Now this video may be a little bit long. And you can speed it up in parts. But if you've got your coffee and you're just sitting there chilling with me, I'm going all the way around. There you go. You see now, we've got each one of our stars. So we've got a 12-point star. And we'll be erasing that out on our original pattern, our board. We'll be just painting each one of these a different color. So there's the first row of triangles, which made our star points. Now for the second row, let me get another a different color here. Okay, for our next set of guidelines, remember these triangles actually are the end of these stars, but we need another set of triangles all the way around into the second circle and on the outside for the third circle. Now, I've got it down here so I think you can see me what I'm doing. Alright, so you remember that second time we made these lines. These lines. We went 15. So we had 30 degrees right here. And we went to the 15 mark and made these lines. Now guess what? We have to divide these guidelines in half. So that would be 7.5. So we're just going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And in the middle of that, we're making a tick mark. And so we'll have 7.5. That takes a little bit of patience, but you can do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5. Let me do it again. And again and again. Alright. So we're right on our mark now. We've got to stay on the mark. If we don't, we won't have even blocks. So I'm right here on this mark, on this dotted line here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and in the middle of the 7, between 7 and 8 here, I'm making a tick mark. Now that gives me 7.5. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5. Get to the middle and we're going to find this tick mark and the one on this side, and we're just going to make the tick marks come out onto those second, like the second and third circle. See, we don't need them in here. We've got that. So now, if you had a bigger arc, or bigger protractor, somehow to make those lines, to find the center easier than what I'm doing, you wouldn't have to make these guidelines. You could just mark your circles. But I only have that one arc thingy. They probably make bigger ones. But I had to, if I make one on a 3x3 or 4x4 or even a bigger one, you got to figure out how to do it small. You can't just go out and buy all that equipment every time you go to do a different size. And I'll try to show you how to do it with what you got. Oops. And somebody, somewhere, knows how to do this without finding all these points using an arc, I'm sure. But this is working. So if it's working, we're going to use it. You know we're almost finished, don't you? Almost through drawing it. And I get to draw it one more time when I'm putting it on the board. And then I get to paint it. Let's go between each one of those. I hope my head's not in your way. And you're seeing what I'm doing. I'm just making dotted lines at each one of my spaces between the other two dotted lines. So you see what we're getting here. See, these was 30, so you think, well, why can't you just do all that at one time? Well, I guess you could, but these was 30. This one is at 15, and then this is at 7.5. It's just easier for me to do it, breaking it down that way. Almost finished. Got it? Yep, I think we've got it. All right, now we get to draw the triangles. Now I'm going to take and draw the first set of triangles in this blue color. And get my short ruler again. Alright, these triangles need to go from, wait a minute, let me get it right in my brain. Okay. You see the point of each one of these stars? We're going from that point to this mark. So we're going to have, between each one of these points, we'll have two triangles here. So we're going from the point of that star where we just found the 15. That's where we're going. And then we're going to go from the where we just found that 15 at the top of that one and go to the middle of these two. And you see why we needed to find all those tick marks is because we want our triangles to be the same size all the way around. So we went from 15 the that last one down to this one. Now I'm going to try to keep that still. So you can follow me. Top of the star. I'm going to call that line 15 because it's the one that's in the middle of these two. See, we're just connecting our points together now. See? Alright, so we went all the way around making our second row of triangles. Now we need to make that third row. And I thought of something while I was drawing that. I'm going to try to get something dark this time. When I was drawing, well, connecting all these dots, here's how I got it in my mind when I was trying to figure out the pattern, is that the end of these triangles, see here, is in the middle of these points. So for the second row, we are going to have the middle of each one of these triangles in the middle of that second row of triangles. Let me show you. Alright, so you see these two triangles are in the middle. Here's your star point. There's the middle. Alright, here's the middle here. And we're going to go to the middle of that one and go up to the top of that tick mark that comes along here. And then go back to the next tick mark. So that tick mark is the center of those two triangles. So all we're doing now is making sure that the top of this triangle lines up with the top of that second row of triangles. And so what you end up having, you've got 12 star points here, but you have 24 in these circles. Now, first time I made that peace sign, I had no idea how to figure this out, and I cut a stencil. Now, if you can figure it out how to exactly cut a stencil and lay it out and draw your pattern that way, I guess you could do that. But this one is a different size than that one, and then this one is a different size than either one of them. So I'm not so sure how that would work. So what we're doing is just going between those triangles and making sure our points line up. See? I'm going all the way around, doing that same thing. We're finished. Now let me show you. I'm gonna I'm going to just color one of each thing so that you can get a feel for it. So here is one of the stars. And that's where your tape is going to go. Right along that line. Now, according to how long this video gets, I may come back and show you as I'm taping that up. But I don't know how long this one is so far. I'll speed up places that I can. So there's a star point, and you may have blue, red, whatever out to the side. And now let's do a so for here, you're going to paint each one of those a different color. And you're going to paint each one of these triangles a different color. So, okay, so here you go. Take a screenshot of that. If you've hung in there to the end, take you a screenshot of it, and I'm going to show you the colors that I used. All right, for my star here, I used honey glaze. I used ancient burgundy. I used, I used sapphire lace. Used honey glaze, sapphire lace, ancient burgundy. Then I used pumpkin butter. You know, this is a farmer's delight, so I'm trying to pick colors that sound like a farmer anyway. Pumpkin delight, purple print, park picnic, and you take a snapshot of the one that I finished and you can see exactly how I laid it out. Alright, that was, I used another green. I used Vegas green. That doesn't sound like a farmer at all. I used magenta. I used intense teal. Yeah. Because I only used one of each color in the center star. I used purple prints. I used heirloom red, deep space, and unimaginable, which is the lavender color. All right, there's the finished product. Take your screenshot of it. And I don't know if I think I went over the colors. I'm not sure. But I had 2 shades of blue and 2 shades of yellow, 2 shades of green. I had burgundy red and heirloom red. And then that's magenta. And so there's 12 points to this star. So I wanted to make sure I had 12 colors within that star. And there's 24 of the triangles going around the first circle and 24 on the second circle. And I just used 2 of each. Like, here's that light green and there it is, and there it is, and then I put 2 down here, right? And I tried to keep them as, you know, like spaced out as I could, but right toward the end I was getting like these 2 lavender colors. That's unimaginable, and they, you know, they ended up being right near one another, the best I could do. So take the screenshot and take the screenshot of your pattern one more time. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Subscribe.